You think you know Seth Rollins? You think you understand what drives a man to the absolute breaking point? Well, let me tell you something that's going to make your blood boil while you were sitting at home, trusting WWE to give you transparency, trusting that what you see is what you get. Seth Rollins has been playing all of us for fools. That's right, the man we thought was unmasked, the man we thought had nothing left to hide, just revealed on Monday Night Raw that he's been wearing a different kind of mask this entire time. And when he finally ripped it off, he didn't celebrate. He didn't cut a promo. No, he went straight for Paul Heyman's throat in what might be the most vicious, calculated assault we have ever witnessed on live television. And the worst part? WWE knew. They knew what was coming and they let it happen right in front of our faces. Let's rewind to Monday Night Raw, because what transpired wasn't just another storyline beat, this was a declaration of war that nobody saw coming. The arena was electric, the crowd was hot, and Seth Rollins made his entrance like he has 1,000 times before. But something was different. You could feel it in the atmosphere. The way he walked, the way he looked at the camera, the intensity radiating from every single step he took down that ramp. For weeks, we've watched Seth Rollins navigate this increasingly complicated landscape in WWE. He's been in feuds, he's had his battles, but there was always this sense that something was brewing beneath the surface. Something darker, something more personal than any championship or any rivalry we'd seen him in before. And Monday night, that something exploded. Picture this moment, Seth Rollins standing in the center of the ring, microphone in hand, and instead of launching into his usual passionate promo, he pauses. The crowd is chanting, expecting the architect, expecting the visionary to deliver another epic speech about his legacy, about his place in WWE history. But Seth just stares. He stares at the entrance ramp with this look that could burn holes through steel. And then he says the words that sent shockwaves through the entire WWE Universe: "I'm done hiding who I really am." Boom. The crowd goes silent. What mask? What has he been hiding? We've seen Seth Rollins evolve through every iteration of his character: the Shield, the Authority, Monday Night Rollins, the Architect, the Visionary. We thought we'd seen everything. But in that moment, Seth reached up, and in a move that seemed almost symbolic, he removed what appeared to be an invisible barrier, a metaphorical mask he'd been wearing for months. But here's where it gets infuriating, and you need to stay with me because this is where the WWE's manipulation becomes crystal clear. Seth wasn't talking about a character evolution. He wasn't talking about a new gimmick. He was talking about the lies, the corporate lies that WWE has been feeding us about loyalty, about family, about the WWE Universe being important. Seth revealed that he's been watching, observing, seeing how WWE management has been playing favorites, how they've been protecting certain individuals while leaving others to fend for themselves. And who stands at the center of WWE's political web? Who has been the special counsel, the advocate, the man behind the curtain pulling strings for decades? Paul Heyman. Now, before we go further, we have a quick request for you. We are constantly working to improve our content to earn your love and support. That's why we would truly appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update here on Wrestling Zone Insider. The connection between Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman goes deeper than most fans realize. These aren't two people who just occasionally crossed paths in WWE. Paul Heyman has been instrumental in shaping storylines, in deciding who gets pushed and who gets buried. And Seth has been on both sides of that equation. He's been the golden boy, and he's been the forgotten soldier. What happened next on Raw will go down in history as one of the most brutal, most unforgiving attacks we have ever witnessed. Paul Heyman emerged from the back, probably expecting to cut one of his signature promos, to advocate for whoever his current client is, to remind everyone why he's the greatest manager in sports entertainment history. His smug smile, his confident swagger, you could see he thought he was untouchable. He was wrong. The second Paul Heyman's music hit, Seth's entire demeanor changed. This wasn't the calculated architect. This wasn't the methodical visionary. This was something primal, something that had been caged up for too long and was finally being unleashed. Seth didn't wait for Heyman to reach the ring. He didn't wait for a microphone exchange or a dramatic face-off. The moment Heyman got close enough, Seth exploded out of the ring like a missile. The attack was so sudden, so violent, that even the commentary team was stunned into silence for those first few seconds. Heyman tried to retreat, tried to use his usual tactics of hiding behind security or talking his way out of the situation, but there was no escape. Seth was a man possessed. He grabbed Heyman and the assault began in earnest. Rights and lefts, striking with a fury that we rarely see in modern WWE programming. This wasn't a worked fight. This looked real. This looked like genuine aggression that had been bottled up and was now pouring out in the most terrifying way possible. The crowd was losing their minds. Some were cheering, some were in shock, but everyone was on their feet. Because deep down, we all know Paul Heyman represents something in WWE that frustrates us as fans. He represents the politics, the backstage manipulation, the favoritism that determines who gets opportunities and who doesn't. Seth dragged Heyman toward the ring, and this is where it got even more intense. He threw Heyman into the ring post not once, but twice. The sickening thud of Heyman's body against the steel echoed through the arena. Commentary was screaming for someone to stop this, for security to intervene, but Seth had planned for this. He'd orchestrated this moment down to the last detail. Here's the first question for you viewers. What do you think was the real reason Seth Rollins targeted Paul Heyman specifically? Drop your answers in the comments below, because I want to hear your theories about what's really driving this attack. Security finally rushed the scene, as they always do, but here's what made this different. Seth was ready for them. He fought them off like they were nothing. Multiple security guards, and Seth was dismantling them with the same intensity he'd shown Heyman. This wasn't about making a statement anymore. This was about complete domination. When they finally managed to pull Seth away, the camera caught his face, and what we saw there was chilling. No regret, no concern about consequences, just pure, unadulterated satisfaction. He'd done what he set out to do, and no amount of fines or suspensions was going to take away that moment. But let's talk about what this means for the bigger picture, because this isn't just about one attack. This is about the future of WWE programming, about the direction storylines are heading, and about what this means for every single performer in that locker room. Seth Rollins unmasking himself, removing this metaphorical barrier he'd been operating behind, represents something bigger than just his character. It represents a shift in how WWE is willing to present its content. For years, we've been getting increasingly sanitized, increasingly corporate-friendly programming. Everything is scripted within an inch of its life. Every move is calculated for maximum sponsorship appeal. But this felt raw. This felt unscripted. This felt like the kind of edge that WWE used to have back in its heyday, when anything could happen and you genuinely didn't know what was coming next. Paul Heyman's role in all of this cannot be understated. The man has been a polarizing figure in professional wrestling for decades. From his days running ECW, to his time as the advocate for Brock Lesnar, to his current position in WWE's hierarchy, Heyman has always been controversial. He's always been the guy who some people love and some people love to hate. But what Seth exposed on Monday night goes beyond just personal animosity. He exposed the system. He exposed how WWE operates, how decisions get made, how certain people are protected while others are sacrificed. And Paul Heyman? He's been at the center of that system for longer than most current superstars have been in the business. Think about all the times we've seen promising talent get buried. Think about all the storylines that went nowhere because someone backstage decided they didn't fit the narrative. Think about all the times we as fans have been frustrated because we could see the potential in someone, but WWE refused to pull the trigger. Paul Heyman has been part of those decisions, whether directly or indirectly, for years. Seth calling this out, Seth physically attacking the symbol of WWE's political infrastructure. This is revolutionary. This is the kind of thing that could genuinely change the landscape of how storylines are told moving forward. Now, the attack itself continued even after security separated them initially, because here's what nobody expected: Seth broke free again. He slid back into the ring, and before anyone could stop him, he hit Paul Heyman with a curb stomp that looked absolutely devastating. The crowd erupted. Even people who were shocked by the initial attack were now fully invested in this moment. Heyman was laid out, motionless in the center of the ring. Medical staff rushed to check on him while Seth stood over him, breathing heavily, that same look of satisfaction on his face. He'd made his statement in the most emphatic way possible. The aftermath of this attack is where things get really interesting. WWE has several options for how to proceed with this storyline, and each one has massive implications. Option 1, they could suspend Seth Rollins, make this a forbidden act that has consequences, and use his absence to build sympathy for his eventual return. This is the safe option, the corporate option, the one that protects everyone and maintains the status quo. Option 2, they could lean into the chaos. They could have Seth Rollins become this unpredictable force that management can't control, that attacks whoever he wants whenever he wants. This is the exciting option, the one that brings real edge back to WWE programming. Option 3, they could reveal that this was all part of a bigger plan, that there are more people involved, that Seth is just the first domino to fall in a complete upheaval of WWE's power structure. This is the ambitious option, the one that could lead to the most compelling long-term storytelling. Here's the second question for you: which option do you think WWE should pursue with this storyline? Tell us in the comments what direction you want to see this go, and explain why you think that's the best choice for Seth Rollins' character. What makes this situation even more complicated is the potential involvement of other superstars. Because if Seth Rollins is willing to attack Paul Heyman, one of the most protected figures in WWE, who's to say he'll stop there? Who else has benefited from Heyman's advocacy? Who else has been protected by the system that Seth is now openly rebelling against? The bloodline immediately comes to mind. Roman Reigns has been the face of WWE for years now, and Paul Heyman has been by his side through all of it. Could Seth's attack on Heyman be the opening salvo in a war against the bloodline? Is this about taking down the entire power structure that Roman and his family represent? Or is it bigger than that? Could Seth be going after everyone who's been complicit in the system? Every executive, every authority figure, every performer who's played politics instead of earned their spot? The implications are massive. What we witnessed on Monday Night Raw wasn't just another attack angle. It wasn't just another heel turn or face turn or character evolution. It was a paradigm shift. It was Seth Rollins saying that he's done playing by the rules, done accepting the limitations that WWE's corporate structure places on performers, done watching talented people get held back while the chosen few get pushed to the moon. The intensity of the attack matters too. This wasn't a few punches and a finisher. This was sustained violence. This was Seth taking every opportunity to inflict maximum damage. The way he threw Heyman into the ring post multiple times. The way he fought off security with genuine aggression. The way he came back for more even after being separated. Every element of this was designed to show that Seth Rollins has reached a point of no return. And that's what makes this so compelling as a viewer. We're watching a character who has genuinely evolved beyond the typical wrestling storyline boundaries. This isn't about a championship anymore. This isn't about proving he's the best. This is about revenge. This is about justice. This is about tearing down a system that has failed him and failed countless others. Paul Heyman selling the attack like his life was in danger added another layer of authenticity to this whole situation. Heyman is one of the best in the business at making things feel real, and his reaction to Seth's assault was absolutely perfect. The fear in his eyes, the way he desperately tried to escape, the way he crumpled after that final curb stomp, it all combined to create a moment that felt genuinely dangerous. This is the kind of wrestling that matters. This is the kind of storytelling that makes people tune in every week because they need to know what happens next. This is what WWE has been missing for too long, and Seth Rollins just delivered it in the most spectacular fashion possible. The unmasking element, the metaphorical removal of whatever barrier Seth had been operating behind, adds a psychological depth to this storyline that we rarely see. It suggests that everything we thought we knew about Seth's motivations, about his goals, about his character, was incomplete. There was always another layer, always something deeper driving him, and now that barrier is gone. What we're left with is the truth. The raw, unfiltered truth of who Seth Rollins really is and what he's really capable of when all restraints are removed. And that is terrifying for everyone else in WWE, because if Seth can do this to Paul Heyman, if he can attack one of the most powerful figures in the company with such brutality and such calculation, then nobody is safe. This moment is going to reverberate through WWE for months. Every future storyline, every future interaction, every future decision will be colored by what Seth did on Monday Night Raw. He didn't just attack Paul Heyman, he attacked the foundation of how WWE operates. And you can't just walk that back. You can't just forgive and forget. This is a line in the sand that changes everything. The genius of this angle is that it works on multiple levels. For casual fans, it's an explosive moment of violence and drama. For hardcore fans, it's a commentary on WWE's internal politics and power structures. For everyone, it's appointment television that you cannot miss because you have no idea what Seth Rollins is going to do next. So there you have it. Seth Rollins has unmasked himself, revealed his true intentions, and launched one of the most brutal attacks we've ever seen on Paul Heyman. This isn't just another storyline. This is a revolution. This is the beginning of something that could fundamentally change WWE as we know it. And whether you love Seth or hate him, whether you think he went too far or not far enough, you cannot deny that Monday Night Raw just became must-see television again. The question now is, who's next? Who else is on Seth's list? And how far is he willing to go to tear down the system he's been railing against? Stay tuned, because this story is just getting started, and based on what we saw Monday night, it's going to be explosive.